You ready to do your taxes? If you've never filed online using tax software, it's really not that hard. Here's what you need to know. First, you don't have to do it all in one sitting. Give yourself a couple of hours spread over a few days. And if your taxes aren't that complicated, it might only take an hour or two, but be prepared for it to take longer. The nice thing about online tax software is it saves your place as you go, so you can take a break and come back to it. Before you get started, you're going to need to gather up all the tax forms you've received. So W-2s, 1099s, all that good stuff. If you're self-employed, you're going to need a list of all the payments you received for the year, as well as a list of your expenses. But really the best thing you can have is a copy of your prior year's tax return, because if nothing dramatic has changed in your life, it's going to give you a really good idea of all the forms and schedules you're going to need to file again this year. To use tax software, you pretty much just go to the tax website or the app and set up an account. And then the app asks you questions, and as you answer them, it figures out which tier of service you're going to need. That's when you find out roughly how much it's going to cost. To actually start preparing your taxes, the app asks you questions about your family and your tax forms, things like how many dependents do you have and do you own a home? Sometimes you can even upload PDFs of your tax forms, and the app will automatically find the numbers that it needs. Once you've answered all the questions, the tax software does a final review to check to make sure you didn't skip anything or there's not some section you left unfinished. Now, this is really to your benefit because it helps to make sure you file your taxes accurately and correctly, but also that you get the biggest refund possible if you're owed one. And then the very last step before you file your taxes is you pay the tax software. All right, everybody's favorite question, how much is it going to cost? And the answer is it really varies. So for a lot of people, it can be free, or it might be upwards of about $200 if you end up adding on a lot of personalized help services. It's really based on how complicated your tax return is and how many state returns you need to file. But like I said, for a lot of people, it can be free. So let me tell you about that. So if your adjusted gross income is less than the threshold set by the IRS, or if you're active duty military, you can file for free using any app that the IRS supports in its Free File program. You can find out more about that online at the IRS website. Another way that anybody can file for free is using Cash App Taxes. Now, this app is free for both federal and state filing, so you're probably wondering what's the catch. Well, if you don't have a Cash App account, you first have to set up one of those. The other thing is Cash App Taxes doesn't accept every single tax situation, but the ones it doesn't accept are kind of rare. There's another app called Free Tax USA, and it lets you file your federal tax return for free, but it charges $14.99 for every state return you need to file. That's still a really low rate though. Lastly, a pilot program launched in 2024 lets people in 12 participating states file directly with the IRS for free if they qualify. For more details on that, go to the IRS website. And that's it. That's everything you need to know about filing your taxes online. For more details and in-depth reviews of the best tax software, go to pcmag.com.